My name is Ethan Hayes. My older brother, Mark, has always been my anchor, my hero, a dedicated officer currently deployed somewhere classified overseas with the U.S. Air Force. Before he left, the weight of the world in his eyes, he pressed his house keys into my palm. "Take care of my house like it's yours, Ethan," he'd said, his voice firm. "You're the only one I trust." That trust felt heavier than any physical burden. One quiet Saturday morning, the calm was shattered. I was nursing black coffee, scrolling through emails, when my phone buzzed insistently. The caller ID read Sarah Jenkins, Mark's next-door neighbor. Sarah rarely called unless it was serious. A knot of unease tightened in my chest. "Hey, Sarah," I answered, trying for casual. "Everything okay?" Her voice was a thin wire of tension, trembling. "Ethan, you need to get over here. Now. There are people moving into Mark's house." I sat bolt upright, the coffee forgotten. "What?" "Sarah, Mark's still deployed." "What are you talking about?" I know," she stammered, words tumbling out. "But there's a huge moving truck in the driveway, Ethan. They're unloading furniture. There's even a realtor with a clipboard, and oh God, there's a sold sticker plastered on the lawn sign." Disbelief clamped down, cold and immobilizing. "That's impossible," I murmured, my voice thick. "His house isn't for sale. I overheard something. HOA auction, Ethan. They're taking down his curtains right now." "HOA auction? Mark's house?" The words made no sense, a nonsensical jumble. My heart began to hammer violently against my ribs. "Stay right there, Sarah. I'm on my way," I snapped, adrenaline surging like wildfire. I didn't bother changing out of my hoodie and jeans. Keys snatched, I sprinted to the car, tires screeching as I tore out of my driveway, and sped towards Mark's familiar neighborhood. My mind raced. Mark was facing dangers I couldn't comprehend. He shouldn't be worrying about losing his home, the sanctuary he was fighting to protect. He trusted me. 20 minutes later, turning onto his street, the scene stole my breath. Just as Sarah described, a massive moving truck brazenly parked in the driveway, unfamiliar faces laughing casually on Mark's front porch as they directed movers. Raw anger mixed with sick disbelief tightened my jaw. I slammed the car into park and marched towards them, ignoring the churning in my stomach. The young couple on the porch, maybe early 30s, looked up, startled by my abrupt approach. They radiated a careless, Pinterest-inspired lifestyle vibe. "Excuse me," I bit out, the words sharp. "What exactly do you think you're doing?" The man, tall and radiating casual confidence, offered a polite, confused smile. "Oh, hi. Can we help you?" He exchanged a glance with his partner, a woman in yoga pants and oversized sunglasses, whose expression shifted to mild annoyance. "Yes," I said, struggling to keep my voice steady. "You can explain why you're moving into my brother's house." "Mark Hayes. He's deployed overseas with the Air Force." I gestured towards the offending sign. "Why is there a sold sticker on his lawn?" The sharply dressed realtor stepped forward, flipping through papers on her clipboard. "Sir, this property was purchased legally through an Oakwood Estates HOA foreclosure auction about 3 weeks ago. It's fully documented." "Foreclosure?" The word hit me like a physical blow. "That's impossible. I've been paying Mark's mortgage." There were no notices. "Look, man," the young guy interjected, clearly uncomfortable. "We don't know about mortgages. We just bought it at the HOA auction. Got a crazy good deal, actually. Only $12,000. $12,000? I repeated, numb. The world tilted. Mark's home, easily worth over $300,000. "You bought this house for $12,000? "Yeah," the woman added hesitantly. "The HOA listed it as a lien sale or something. Figured someone hadn't paid their fees. Sorry if this is news." My hands clenched. Anger, hot and fierce, surged through me. "This is theft. This house belongs to my brother. You can't just move in." "Sir," the realtor said smoothly, "we followed all legal HOA procedures. Perhaps you should speak directly with them." "Believe me," I spat, turning sharply, "I will." Within the hour, I stood in the sterile, soulless office of the Oakwood Estates HOA. The air felt thick with indifference. After several agonizing minutes, a thin man in a crisp polo shirt approached, a superficial smile plastered on his face. "Mr. Hayes," he said, extending a hand I ignored. "I'm Richard Vance, HOA Compliance Director. How can I help?" Gary, I said, fighting for control, you sold my brother's house. Mark Hayes. Deployed. I manage everything. How does an HOA auction a house without proper notification? Vance shrugged, turning casually to a filing cabinet. We sent multiple notices. He pulled a thick file. Repeated violations. Grass too long. Mailbox damaged. Quarterly dues unpaid. Standard procedure. I scanned the documents, blood boiling. Ridiculous fines. $125 for grass, $75 for a chipped mailbox, barely totaling $700. So you auction a $300,000 home for $700 in fines. Actually, Vance said coolly, legal fees raised the total considerably. But yes, per our bylaws, completely legal. You never called me. I snapped. You mailed letters to an empty house, knowing the owner was serving his country. I'm his emergency contact. Do you understand how predatory this is? Vance leaned back, his mask of politeness slipping slightly. We have no legal obligation to chase down absentee homeowners. Their responsibility. He's not absentee. My voice trembled with fury. He's deployed, Richard, risking his life. And you knew that. His eyes flickered away. Military deployment doesn't exempt homeowners from bylaws. Procedure was followed. I leaned across his desk. You stole a home from a soldier, I said slowly, voice dripping with disdain. Hiding behind procedure doesn't make it right. Vance shifted. Perhaps consult a lawyer, Mr. Hayes, he dismissed. This conversation is unproductive. Oh, trust me. I shot back, storming out. I intend to. This wasn't a mistake. It was calculated theft, wrapped in bureaucratic red tape. And I wouldn't rest until Mark's home was his again. Driving away, my head spun. How could I tell Mark? How could I fix this? The feeling of letting him down was a physical ache. I went straight to Arthur Finch, a local attorney with a decent reputation. Sitting in his modest office, I laid out the nightmare. He listened intently, his expression growing grim. Ethan, Finch began, his voice cautious. This is deeply unfair, morally reprehensible. But, there's always a but, I muttered, dread coiling in my gut. He nodded solemnly. Legally, the HOA likely covered their bases. I've seen this playbook. They leverage minor violations, move quickly on foreclosures. Challenging them is brutally expensive, emotionally draining, and frankly, the odds of winning are slim. Hopelessness washed over me. $12,000 for his home, Arthur? While he's deployed protecting their right to do this. I understand your anger, Finch said gently. I wish I had better news. But HOA battles are wars of attrition. They rarely end well for the homeowner. I left feeling heavier than ever. Friends, even family, urged caution. Don't ruin yourself fighting this, Ethan, my mother pleaded. Mark wouldn't want that. But looking at a photo of Mark and me on his porch, his trust echoed. You're the only one I trust. He wouldn't quit. I couldn't either. This wasn't just legal. It was about justice, about honor. That night, despair hardened into resolve. I opened my laptop. If the system was broken, I'd find a way. Fueled by anger, I dove into research. HOA bylaws, foreclosure statutes, horror stories, a world of predatory practices built to crush homeowners. It wasn't just Mark. The system preyed on the vulnerable. Days blurred into nights spent deciphering legalese, searching for a crack in their armor. I needed proof of intent. Then, an unexpected email arrived late one night from Jessica Bell. Subject, urgent HOA insider information. She claimed to be an investigative journalist following Mark's case, specializing in corruption. She had an insider source, evidence. Meet tomorrow, bring a USB drive. Skeptical but desperate, I agreed. The next morning, nerves frayed, I met Jessica in a corner booth. My source within the HOA, she leaned in, voice low, provided internal documents, recordings. This wasn't negligence, Ethan. They're deliberately targeting homes of absentee military members. She slid her laptop over, plugged in earphones. I heard casual voices discussing Mark's deployment, the empty house, easy pickings, quick auction. Rage, cold and pure, flooded me. This is criminal, I whispered. It is, Jessica agreed. And this evidence changes everything. They can't hide behind procedure now. She handed me a folder and the USB drive. You can win this, Ethan. But you'll need guts. More than ready, I said, a new strength solidifying within me. This wasn't just Mark's fight anymore. It was about exposing a rotten system. With Jessica's evidence, hope surged. But the darkness fought back. Anonymous late-night calls started silence, then menacing whispers. Drop the case. Walk away. Sleep became a luxury. Then, vandalism. I found my car tires slashed, windshield spiderwebbed, a note pinned. Only warning. Fear churned, whispering doubts. Was it worth the risk? But Mark's face, his courage, steadied me. Bravery wasn't absence of fear. It was standing firm despite it. I reached out to David Maxwell, an attorney renowned for battling corrupt HOAs. His name a recurring theme in my research. He returned my call quickly, his deep voice calm. Ethan Hayes. I've heard about your brother's case. Meet me tomorrow. Bring everything. Maxwell's office buzzed with quiet intensity. The intimidation, he began, eyes sharp, means we're close. Show me the evidence. As I laid out Jessica's findings and played the recording, his jaw tightened. Explosive, he declared, conviction filling his voice. Clear violation of federal law, the Servicemember Civil Relief Act. Targeting deployed personnel isn't negligence, it's calculated malice. What now? I asked. Maxwell smiled, a fighter's grin. We file an aggressive lawsuit. Wrongful foreclosure, intentional misconduct, SCRA violations. We don't settle. We expose them in open court. His confidence was infectious, but I hesitated. Will it get worse? It might, he admitted soberly. They'll stall, threaten, try to break you. But you're not alone now, Ethan. I'll stand with you. Fear lingered, but determination overshadowed it. I wasn't just fighting for Mark anymore. Days after filing, the story exploded. Jessica Bell's article went viral. National news outlets picked it up. The injustice against a deployed soldier ignited public fury. Images of Mark in uniform beside his sold, house-dominated screens. My phone rang off the hook. Journalists, veterans groups, politicians. Protesters appeared daily outside the HOA office. Justice for Mark. Protect our troops. Petitions demanded accountability. Richard Vance, the HOA director, went on a defensive media tour, claiming victimhood, insisting they followed the rules. Watching him lie made my stomach twist. They're desperate, Maxwell assured me over the phone. Stay calm. The facts are ours. Then, a call from overseas. Mark. My heart leaped into my throat. Ethan, his familiar voice crackled, exhaustion heavy. I've seen the news. Is it true? Did they sell my house? Guilt squeezed my chest. It's true. I'm so sorry, Mark. Stop, he cut me off gently. I called to thank you. You didn't back down. You did exactly what I knew you would. I'm proud of you. Relief washed over me, hot tears stinging my eyes. We're getting it back, Mark, I promised, voice stronger. I know you will, he said softly. Stay strong. I'll be home soon. Home soon. The fight had a deadline. This accelerates things, Maxwell said when I told him. But public opinion weakens their position daily. It works for us. With Mark's return imminent, retreating was unthinkable. The trial date arrived. Media vans choked the street. A crowd buzzed outside the courthouse. Inside, the tension was palpable. Maxwell, calm and focused. Across the room, Richard Vance and the HOA lawyers, faces like stone. Maxwell laid out the case meticulously, presenting Jessica's damning evidence, the emails, the memos, the chilling recording proving deliberate targeting. This isn't about minor infractions, he argued passionately. It's exploitation of those serving our country. The HOA lawyer countered coldly, citing procedure, homeowner responsibility. Each word felt like an insult. Then, Maxwell played his trump card. Your Honor, we call Thomas Green to the stand. A murmur went through the courtroom. Green, an HOA board member, took the stand hesitantly. Mr. Green, Maxwell began gently. Tell the court what you witnessed regarding Mark Hayes' home. Green took a shaky breath. At first, I thought it was routine enforcement. But, during a board meeting, Richard Vance explicitly mentioned targeting homes of deployed military personnel. He said they'd be easier to foreclose on. An audible gasp swept the room. Vance went pale. I objected privately. Green continued, voice clearer, finding courage. I feared retaliation. But seeing Mark's story, I had to come forward. This foreclosure wasn't accidental. It was planned. The judge's eyes narrowed on Vance, whose composure finally shattered. Are you stating under oath, Maxwell pressed, that the HOA knowingly violated federal protections for active duty service members? Yes, Green confirmed firmly, meeting my gaze. That's exactly what happened. A heavy silence fell. Maxwell faced the judge. Your Honor, this is exploitation cloaked in technicality. Mark Hayes deserves justice for himself and every service member targeted by abusive institutions. The judge deliberated briefly. Finally, her voice resolute. Given the compelling evidence, I rule the HOA's foreclosure and subsequent sale null and void. I order immediate restoration of the property to Mark Hayes. Relief slammed into me, nearly buckling my knees. Cheers erupted. Maxwell clapped my shoulder. You did it, Ethan. Justice won. But looking towards the exit, I knew this was bigger than one house. We'd exposed a corrupt system. 2 weeks later, Mark came home. Standing on his driveway, he took in the sight, touching the mailbox we'd painted years ago. He didn't speak, but relief, pain, and gratitude warred in his eyes. Finally, he turned to me. Ethan, he said softly, voice thick. You fought for me. Thank you isn't enough. You trusted me, Mark, I whispered, throat tight. I couldn't let you down. He pulled me into a fierce hug. I thought this house was my sanctuary, he said, blinking hard. But knowing what you risked, you were the sanctuary, Ethan. His words sealed the victory, not just legal, but personal. Welcome home, Daniel. He smiled warmly. Thanks to you, it truly feels like home. Our story sparked a movement. Letters poured in from military families facing similar battles. With Maxwell, Jessica, and Mark, we founded the Guardian Shield Foundation, a nonprofit to defend service members from housing abuses. Mark began speaking at events, sharing our story, offering hope. One evening, after an event, my phone buzzed another desperate plea for help. Mark looked at me knowingly. Another one? I nodded, resolve firm. Our fight had just begun.